Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. So today is going to be just like, an open debugging session. So we can, go through the data sets and you found, and if you want to work on wrangling them into an appropriate format, we can work on that. If you want to work on building some plot, we can, work on that. So it's totally open. And I've enabled screen sharing. So if you want, you can, we can work on your screens, we can work on my screen, whatever works best. So yeah, so what are your problems and how can we fix them?
I've had a little issue with some of the data wrangling. So if we could go over that, that would be definitely helpful.
Sure. Do you want to share your screen, or what would be the best way to?
Yeah, I can definitely share my screen after I finish my hair up. But also, yeah, unfortunately, the Wayback Machine, and like I tried looking at other ways that I could see past versions. It's like faulty. Like it worked for like the month of February, but once I got to March, it went to like May for the first week. And then when I started at like March 7th, it was like September data. And so like the March data just isn't there. So that's one kind of problem. But I mean, we do have like a solid week's worth of data. And I was wondering if we could also just kind of tell the story of just looking at Grafton cases as a whole and seeing how those cases are, like if there's a big increase in Grafton as a whole and like the weeks following this outbreak at Dartmouth, like having maybe like a line, I mean, like we could put the Dartmouth data we had, or just have a line of like, this was when the outbreak was, there were like 300 cases in this week. And then we see like the Grafton cases and they're actually like pretty steady. Another idea was to look at maybe like New Hampshire as a whole. So have like Grafton versus New Hampshire as a whole and do like cases per 100,000, just as a way of kind of controlling for population differences, and see if like, okay, like maybe cases were like slightly increasing in Grafton, but like cases everywhere were increasing. And so like Dartmouth likely wasn't the cause of this. So I guess I was curious on your thoughts of that.
I think all of those sound reasonable. Yeah, sometimes you have to work with the data you can get. So if if the Wayback Machine isn't giving you the data you need from Dartmouth specifically, and you're not able to track down that data set, then yeah, looking at Grafton County sounds reasonable to me. Yeah, that I don't, there's no like hard and fast rule of like what data set is needed to solve a particular problem. So it's,
Okay. And then, okay. And then another thing that I was looking at was, sorry, I should have like pulled everything. Oh, wait, okay, right here. Okay, I can share my screen now. So, because this is what it looked like when I did the Dartmouth data. And so like that doesn't seem realistic. Like if this is like the new cases in Grafton per day, and this is the new cases at Dartmouth, and then this is where like the data was missing. So I just put like 0 in just to have something.
okay.
Like it just doesn't quite look like this graph sucks, kind of. It's tough to interpret and doesn't seem super legit, especially if like there are only 37 cases in Grafton, but 40 at Dartmouth. Like, what does that really mean?
Well, can you normalize it by you could either plot like percentages that might be like percentages of people tested, might normalize the scale of these. And then, yeah, so I guess I have a few comments on the plotting, but it looks like, so I don't think inferring 0 cases is necessarily the right analysis step, but you could just leave those time points out. So you could set that as a main.
This was just a placeholder because I had to like add the column, and when I just did the ones I knew and like the rest was missing, like it didn't like that. So I just for ease, just kept putting zeros so I could.
Got it, just to make the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd probably put this as like percentages of tests done. Or I guess equivalently, but just scaled slightly differently. You could do it per 100,000 people or something like that.
Yeah, I think that could be better because looking at like there were around like 5,000-ish tests per week, like most every other week. But the week of the outbreak, I think multiple people were getting tested multiple times. And so there were 10,000 tests. And so the percent positive looked lower because like a lot of people going just to make sure and getting negative results. That seemed off. So I think per 100,000 might be good. But in doing that, I was kind of having a problem. So I was trying just to like start off. I could do New Hampshire as a whole, but I was like, all right, I'll pull out a couple counties and just see how those cases like increase. And so I found out like the populations and added their populations. And so basically what I wanted to do was subtract, or no, that was just because the dividing wasn't working, was divide the cases in a county by the population to find cases per 100,000, which I now realize I have to multiply by 100,000.
So it seems like that might underestimate, but so you could, because not everyone who has COVID, I mean, not everyone's getting tested. So, the number of positive cases, like, the lower bound is 0, and then the upper bound is the number of tests that are run. So I think dividing by the number of tests that are run, if that's available, would be like a more accurate way of normalizing. So that would give you a percentage, or like a proportion between 0 and 1, and then you can multiply that by 100,000 to get cases per 100,000.
Yeah.
Or but if you don't have the number of tests, then I guess then we have to guess. But
yeah, they don't have that number of tests for like Grafton County / at least that I've found in my digging.
I see.
People have like duplicates, like I'm tested twice a week, and so like when I'm getting negatives twice a week, that like might skew it a little bit. But I'm not sure why this isn't working.
Would you mind zooming in a little? I'm like, sorry. Yeah, I know you like your tiny fonts there.
Yeah, well, also it's on my monitor, so
okay.
I don't know if that influences it as well.
Maybe. I guess that's true. I'm viewing it in a smallish window, but yeah, it's like the letters are like 1 pixel, so it's hard to read. Okay, now I can read. Let's see. Well, we could do this in a couple different ways. So I could control your screen, or we could like talk through it to type. It's up to you. How would you like?
Yeah, you can control my screen.
Okay. All right.
Oh, approve.
Okay. So one thing I would start with is like, okay, let's look at what this data frame looks like. Okay. Okay, so state data / cases, and then population. Okay.
Oh, I
so
wonder
those,
if the types are off.
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. So we could look at state data of cases. Maybe it's strings. Oh, sorry. Cases.
Oh, the S after, yeah. And then
Here we go. Wait, no. Wait, are you typing too?
the S
Or?
after data.
Okay.
That should work.
Okay, those are ints. That's good. Let's see what population is. Those are also ints. Interesting.
So that's weird that I can't do a
Oh, I see. So the syntax is slightly wrong. So I think this is what you want. Oops. Are you typing, or am I?
No.
Okay. So you'd use dot notation here, but what you want is state data per 100K equals this. So, oh, you probably have some, oh, this is Windows. Got it. Yeah, I think the mapping between my keyboard and your keyboard is slightly off. Interesting. Okay, so I'll use, I wonder what will.
Can you versus not use the dot notation? Because I thought I used the dot notation in one of my other things and it worked. I could be wrong.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, let's see. State data cases. Does that work? It does. Huh.
Yeah, I was getting
Interesting.
that error.
Yeah. Okay.
Of the slice though, like the whole that error, and I couldn't really figure out what and why.
Sure. Oops. Oh, man. It's super annoying. Okay. Well, so this whole thing is a, oh, man, super annoying. There we go. Sorry for okay. This looks right.
So it
we
seems
could,
like that it just doesn't like trying to create a new column off of that.
yeah. So let's see. I'm sure it's a data frame. Okay. And then let's see. So we could say state data dot, let's see, can we merge? I'll have to look up. And then this whole thing. Let's see if this, nope. Oh, well, I'll just retype it. Apparently I can't use any shortcuts. Okay. That's silly. Okay, let's see what this does. Oh, right. And then actually we could say, oops, what is this? What do we call this? Cases per 100K or something like that.
I think it was just per 100K.
Per 100K. Okay.
With a lowercase p, I think.
Okay. And then you multiply it by 100K. Okay, so let's see what this does. Okay, so that's good. And then we could, whoops, state data dot merge of this. Let's see what this does. Ha. Let's see. There we go. All right, so that works. I don't know why you couldn't just assign the column. It says, okay, so the things, just to walk you through that, my kind of mumbled comments there. Yeah, so first of all, to give you a sense of the behind the scenes, here's what I was looking up. I can paste a link here. So I was trying to remember the Pandas API. So, you know, I use Pandas all the time. I have not memorized the full API, but I knew there was this merge function which lets you combine data frames. If you just divide these columns, it gives you a series object. So you can, well, when things are printed out in this way, like this is how series objects are printed out. And so that's how I recognized it was a series. But if we wanted to check, we could, you know, say type of that. So this operation is giving us a series. Normally, I would have expected to be able to do state data of per 100K equals and then a series object, but for some reason that wasn't working. So then I tried this merge function that I pasted into the chat, and it wasn't letting me do that without naming the column, which kind of makes sense because if it doesn't know what name the column should be, how does it know like how to add it to the data frame?
Yeah.
And so there's this way of creating data frames with a dictionary, which is to create like, you know, whatever the name you want it to be, and then the value. I guess we don't need these parentheses. And then this will create a data frame with one column that's named whatever this is. And then the index will be the index of the series, and then the values will be the values in the series. So this creates a data frame instead of a series, but it only has one column. And then that has the same, like I know, okay, this is going to have the same index as the state's data frame because it's created from the same data. And so that we can merge with the state data. And then the how equals left, if you omit this, it looked like what was happening is it didn't know which data frame to get the indices from. And so you can either grab the indices from the like data, like the left data frame would be state data, and then the right data frame would be the thing that you're merging with it. It actually shouldn't matter, I don't think. I think this will work too, because they both have the same. Oh, interesting. It does matter. Oh, interesting. It gives you all nans if you do the right gains. I wouldn't have expected that. But there you go. I guess you get the same data frame, but just not, for some reason, it's not connecting the values. Let's see. Oh, I wonder if you can do, there's also like outer. Okay, so that, oh, interesting, but that's not really working well either. And then inner, that doesn't work. Yeah, so I guess you have to do left. So if you look at the documentation for the merge function, it tells you like the options for the how flag, which is left, right, outer, inner, or cross. Anyways, left works in this case. So it's taking the indices from the state data object, and then it's filling in all the values from state data and then adding this other column.
Okay. Well, that's good that worked.
Yeah.
I was really confused as to why like the other way wasn't working, but glad that works.
Honestly, I'm not sure. Let's see. We could Google like data frame cannot slice.
Well, yeah, it was like something about the index. I wonder if it was because it was on a sliced data frame, if for some reason it like wasn't, I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Is this a sliced data frame or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's why. Oh, so this is a.
Yeah, I filtered the data frame by, or just to include like a couple of counties in New Hampshire. And then I added.
Okay. So I think you could maybe do like copy, and then I wonder if this will work. So X of per 100K, oops, equals so I wonder if this will work. Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, so basically you just made a new data frame that was a copy of that, and then.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize you had made that using a site. So the way Pandas deals with data efficiently is if you like filter some part of it, it doesn't recopy the data. It just keeps the, like what you're manipulating is actually the original data set. But then this copy method creates it. That's what it actually tells it explicitly to make a new copy.
Okay, that's helpful. Okay, so then the idea, sorry, I get distracted when I get emails. To do like the cases per 100,000, see how the different counties match up. I feel like I had another thing on that, but I don't. The other thing that we wanted to look into was like how Dartmouth compared to other Ivy Leagues or like other schools. And so I tried to look at just in terms of like almost doing like a bar chart or something like that of like our prevalence rate at these different schools to see like how ours compares. Since it's like a prevalence rate, again, it's like controlled for size/population.
It's tricky, like it's a little tricky because like in Hanover, I mean, Hanover is a wonderful town, but there's not much in it aside from Dartmouth versus like like I went to school at Penn, and like that's in Philly, and so there's a lot of other stuff, including other colleges in Philly, and so like, you know, it's not a, well, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be defensive of Penn, but like it's you know, it's a fully like equal comparison, because I mean Philly has a higher population, but then there are multiple kind of, I don't know, there might be multiple contributing factors.
Yeah,
But
I guess that's tough. That's the thing. It's like it is so hard to like compare COVID things because there's just so many different factors that go into like isolation, like school strictness, like I don't know, if you're being tested and whatnot. So like I don't know. I think that we want to have another graph other than just like Grafton County COVID cases. So that was just an idea. Or look at other schools, like the New York Times has the college data. It's static, so it's only like most recent. But that could actually be okay because I think that like the idea for like this graph would be more to look overall. Like, okay, even if we had one little spike, like overall, we're doing better than other colleges. Like Dartmouth has had pretty
yeah,
rigorous like our testing and our kind of practice in general has been like pretty awesome. And so looking at that, a problem there is I was looking at each school's like portal of COVID data, and they all reported a little differently. So it's tough to tell. Like Harvard does number of positive tests, but hard
but
to
not
know
the
like,
total number
how
of
many,
tests.
like yeah, and who's getting, because they had a very high amount of cases. I forget what it was, but then you look into it and it was actually a low amount that was students, but like they had like other, and I'm guessing it was like other people in Boston. There were like faculty, and they were all in that category. And so we knew how many students it was, but it wasn't clear out of how many students. So in that case, can't really do prevalence rate. So what I was thinking is
Yeah,
looking at this college data set and like looking at other colleges, their number of cases. But the GitHub wasn't letting me, I was using the exact same command and the exact same New York Times GitHub as the data, the COVID county data, to get the college data. And it was giving me an error, and it was really frustrating.
I mean, I'm happy to try to debug that. The other thought I had is like you could maybe look, like Boston is the same. Yeah, so like if you compare like Cornell, which is, I guess like Cornell has, it's like in Ithaca. There's like Ithaca College is also in Ithaca, but it's still like a small town.
Yeah.
And like Dartmouth is like, you know, also kind of a small town. Versus like if you look at like Harvard or Penn or Brown, like, you know, all the Ivies that are in cities have like a lot of stuff in them. So I wonder if you could look at like the prevalence rate of the like county where the colleges are relative to the surrounding counties or something like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess you could make an argument for looking at it in many ways, but
Yeah, I think that there's a couple different ways to like slice the data and make comparisons. And I think like like with most data, like no data is perfect. And so there's gonna be like pros and cons, like drawbacks and like caveats. But
yeah.
the main thing was just this, and then I think that's like all the questions I had. But so this is how we got the US counties data. So I have the exact same thing. This is the URL and this is the name of it, and it wasn't letting me do it.
So okay, so one thing is that so you can, let's see. Okay, could you do me a favor? Because I can't copy and paste. Could you copy this line and also this line, just duplicate it onto the next line?
Yeah. Like duplicate it onto like down here?
No, just like paste it right below itself. So it's like 2W gets. Okay, great. And then the same thing for the other one.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So, oh, let's see if I can get control back here. Okay. So we can just, this is a little bit of a, so pandas can read remotely, which is cool. Oops. So we can just do this directly. Okay, and then let's check COVID data. Okay, that looks reasonable.
And then like college data.
Oh, this is okay. Well, okay, but then we could okay, so let's see what happens here. Okay, so that looks okay.
That's nice. I don't know why the other way wasn't working because I was doing the exact same command, but oh well, this works and that's good.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Cool. Okay. So, oh, great. So this is actually colleges, right? So
yeah, it's all colleges. It's just the number of cases, and so I'd have to look further into like how many students are back. But there's approximations for how many like students are back at like Dartmouth, and I know that like the Ivies kind of put out how many are back and also can kind of discern it. So there'll be like some slight margin of error, but approximations, like it will be approximately right. And like for Dartmouth, even like looking at the number of pre-enrollment tests, because that people who got the coming back to campus, whatever tests, like that's how many students were back, and
sure.
You know, a slight margin of error, but to see like the prevalence percentage. Yeah, thought that could be cool compared to other colleges, and I like the idea of doing it like other kind of like rural colleges, so there's not like that city influence.
Yeah. I forgot about Princeton too. I also went to Princeton, but I shouldn't forget my own schools, but that's in a small town too.
Yeah.
And Columbia is another city one, but
City,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, New York is going to be crazy because it's, you know, there was that huge spike, and then, you know, there's so many schools in New York too. Same, I mean, Boston and New York, there's just so many schools. So interesting.
Okay, Okay, well, thank you. This is super helpful, and I think now there's like a good amount of data that's like successfully in here that we can start making our graphs with.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, and it's cool that it comes with like county information too, because then you can plug that into the the other data above.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool. Yeah, neat.
And then can find population data and blah blah blah, add that in. Okay, well, that sounds good. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you.
Sure thing.
I had one quick question, just like while we're on our project. So
Yeah.
we're thinking about how to introduce the data analysis, and how would people feel about like a tone of our research group tackled this platform? So it's like us, but kind of separating ourselves from the student role into like a more objective role. We're like, I've been thinking a lot about the tone that we're gonna like use for that section. How would you guys feel about that?
That sounds good to me. I like that framing because research group doesn't, it like removes the personal, it feels like something that's more objective than like, okay, here's what I looked into this problem, and like you can imagine a way of framing it would be like, I'm a Dartmouth student, which could give you credentials for knowing about Dartmouth, but then it like kind of hurts your credibility when you're arguing on behalf of like other people who are also Dartmouth students. But then if you say like research group, I think that's a great way of framing it, because then it's, you are all Dartmouth students, but it's like, I like the objective sound to it.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, we can go to their project now.
I have a quick question about the mapping, but actually, Isha, would you want to go first with the filtering? I feel like that's kind of more urgent.
Yeah. So I can share my screen. Okay. So we have like 3 data sets that we want to put together. It's like by state, like the income data and also the vaccine data and the testing data. So I was working on like trying to like filter them and like get them to a point where they can be joined. But I ran into an issue where like, so I have like 3 data sets, and one of them I'm using as like a starting point for all of them, where I made like a list of all the states, and I filtered based on the state and like just one date in the other 2. But then I like did a little check to make sure that all of the states were still remaining, and I got like one went missing, and I can't really figure out what happened because it's like in the original one before filtering, and like I did like a little check and it's like the same. So I'm very confused why it wouldn't filter or include it in the filtering for the testing data set.
And then I guess another thing is like so I don't know the states of India off the top of my head, but I just Wikipedia'd it, and it looks like there are 28 states and then 8 union territories, but then it looks like you're getting 32 and 33 for the list here. So which is like between 28 and 36.
Okay.
So it looks like there's like, depending on which one, either like, 3 or 4 other ones missing, which is,
Yeah. I don't know, because I was thinking like if we just did it based off of the income data set, like that's really the information that we want to have and correlate. So
Okay.
if there are things missing, it would be okay. So that's the other thing. Like I actually looked at what this state is, and I don't think it has that many people in it. Like it's like, yeah, it's right here, like less than 400,000. So I
Oh,
could
okay,
change up the
I
whole
see.
thing, but I'm just really confused why I didn't put it in to the.
Okay. Do you mind if I,
Yeah,
well, do you want me to control your screen, or do you want to type?
I
Or?
don't care. You can control my screen.
Okay. Okay. So,
Oh wait, I might have to. Is it working?
no.
Okay. Maybe now.
Yep. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Oops. Okay. So let's see what these things are. Okay. So that's, oh, it's reasonable. Oh, that's what you were printing. Okay. And then just to get a sense of what, oh, this is the data frame. Okay.
Yeah, for the vaccines. Well, that one didn't have an issue. It was the testing one.
I see. But then there is, so then if you did like,
Yeah.
oops. Okay. So it's not the, okay, so that's 33.
Mhm.
I see. And then is testing two also, let's see. Okay. Okay. So let's see how big these are.
Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe it has to do with the date filtering. Like maybe that one or state didn't report for that
Yeah,
date.
that's possible.
So maybe I want to do like an earlier date because I also see there's not positive cases reported for some of these.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
That's something I can just like play with on my own.
Okay. Okay. Do you want, okay, so is that, does that answer your question or?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Thanks.
Sure.
And then I think Kira had a question.
Yeah, so I had a question because I was trying to do the map. And I can share my screen. Basically, I loaded in a GeoJSON, which I also have a question about it, how you feel about this uploading format. Oops. Because I just have it as a local file and then like I'm doing it like this. So like if you do that, it'll like ask you to pull it in, but I don't know like how helpful that is because it's not really replicable, like unless you have that file.
Could you, how big is the file? Is it like
7.8 megabytes.
Oh, so you could just add it to the so you could add it to the course GitHub page.
Okay.
Or, and then just reference it right from there.
Okay.
So what I would do is if you fork the storytelling with data repository,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you go to data stories, then you can add a file. And when you add a file, you can just say like, you know, for the file path, if you put like /, it'll make new folders. So you can say like storytelling with data / data stories / and then, you know, COVID crisis in India, whatever you want to call the story,
Okay.
as the folder name, and then / and then if it's so if it's like states, India, GeoJSON, then you just put that file into your folder. And then instead of loading it from, this upload command, you can instead just reference it right from GitHub.
Okay, because then the other way we were doing it for the other data sets up here somewhere is we just had them in like Google spreadsheets and then put the links to those and then are using like the Google Open. Is that also okay, or would you prefer we put everything in GitHub?
It's fine as long as other people can access it, but
Okay.
if they're small files, like on the order of 10 megabytes or so, then I think the easiest thing would be to just put them right into GitHub.
Okay, so I'll play around with that after class. But then the other sort of more pressing thing, basically like I loaded in the GeoJSON. I'll do again right now quickly. And, sometimes this happens in Safari. So I'll just basically explain it.
Okay.
I loaded it in, and then here I just pulled like, this is the first feature to make sure that it worked. And I think it did, because those are all the coordinates for like the very complex state shape.
Yeah,
so then I tried to do, okay, yeah. So then I tried to do this using Plotly, because I know you mentioned that in class, and I was using sort of like some tutorial stuff, and I just like cannot get it to work. I was playing with the parameters and stuff. So I don't know if like off the top of your head, looking at this, you would have any suggestions.
Yeah, I have a couple suggestions. Do you mind if I control your screen?
No, yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, so there are a few things.
Okay.
So, oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine. I just have to allow it in my system. I don't know why it always makes me do that. Okay. How about now?
Oh, still not working.
Okay, wait. Will you try and do it again?
Here, maybe I'll stop remote control and then re-ask. Let's see if that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nope, not working. Huh.
Let me see. Okay, wait. I just did it again. I think it might work now.
Okay. Oh, cool. Awesome.
Okay.
Okay. So, let's see. Okay. Yeah. So,
we have that at the top. I'm not sure if it just isn't in because of like the runtime or something.
Got it.
It's like every time I step away for a few minutes, it like restarts.
Oh, okay. Great. You probably don't need MDB tools.
Okay.
But okay. Okay, so this actually will help. Okay. Great. And then, yeah, because so the one issue is the version of Plotly that comes with Collab does not support GeoJSON. But when you import it using this syntax, it will let you do that. Okay, so there's that. And then, okay, so let's see what this does.
And for me, it would usually take a while and then stop running, but there would just be no map. So I'm not sure if that means it's an issue with like displaying it or if it's just not working.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know either. Let's see what it does. Income is not defined. What?
Oh, I also think Isha changed the data frame names since I first did this. So that
Okay.
would be the issue now, but was not the issue at the time.
Okay. Okay, let's see what.
If it was,
Oh, actually, maybe you didn't.
it would just be like income bias data. Just change it to income.
Okay. Oh, so then maybe it is too.
Okay. So we could say okay, so let's see. So all right, well, let's see what happens.
Is that also the runtime because it hasn't been like built yet?
Oh, maybe. Okay. Oh, gosh. Okay. Let's see if this just works. Oh, I guess you have to.
Yeah, I can do that if you want.
Okay.
I think it should be automatic. It should automatically just log in. That's what usually happens. And then, yeah.
Okay, I'll blur it out in the video.
It's just, yeah, I think it's just the code. I don't really know exactly how it works, but.
Okay. Okay, cool, I can paste. That's nice. Oh, it's not liking that. Let's see. It looks like maybe this doesn't exist, or?
Yeah, I think the testing and vaccines, Isha just has, she added those. So it's just the income one that I want.
Okay. Great. Okay, and then we can. Okay. Oh. Okay. All right, let's see how this works. Okay. But it doesn't have.
Yeah, it did before.
Did I
Isha, when
run
you
it?
did the.
Oh,
Oh,
here
no,
we go.
just kidding.
Okay. Okay. And then I'll comment this one out because it doesn't exist for now. And then this doesn't exist for now. Okay. And that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist.
The rest of this might just be for the filtering. So now that
Okay.
income's created, I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, fair enough. Okay. And let's see if this. Oh, so you have to do your
To upload. Yeah.
magic.
Well, let me just place it in here.
Might.
I'm just gonna try that because sometimes on Safari it like crashes for some reason. using the code, but when I
Yeah,
switch it to Google Chrome, it works. So
interesting.
here, I just added
Okay,
it in
great,
to
perfect.
the files.
Okay, great. Okay, that looks like it is working, and then we can double check. Okay, yeah, it's the same thing you had before. That looks promising. Okay, so let's see. One thing, so feature ID key, is that actually one of the columns in your data frame though? I don't think so.
The ST_name. Yeah, so I thought that was supposed to come from the GeoJSON. So that's what the column for state name is in the GeoJSON, but I could be
Okay.
wrong about which one that parameter is meant to specify. Because I was just
Okay.
kind of working off of what I could find online.
It's possible it has to match up. So you might have to add a column to the income data frame that because like otherwise how would it know which states go with which like I'm not sure how it would match up the colors. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, so the way that I thought it was supposed to work was that feature ID key is what the like state name should be in the GeoJSON, and then locations is the state. But because we're also using that as the index,
yes.
it
Yeah,
gets
no,
really
that's
complicated.
No, that's right, actually. That is
Okay.
how it works. So that's how it matches it up. Okay.
But I'm also not sure if it is able to recognize state if it's the index. So that's maybe another question that I guess we'll find out.
I doubt it can actually.
Okay.
It probably can't.
Okay.
Yeah, so this will probably fail, but
so do we need to add a column that's just like repeating the index, even if that looks kind of weird?
yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Yeah, annoyingly, you can't reference the index in the same way as a column.
Okay. So should we just stop this and go back and do that and see if that will work?
Sure. One way of you could potentially do it is like without messing with it is you could say, I wonder if this will work. Actually, oops, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Oh, there we go. This might just work. Because you're allowed to pass in like an array or a series object. Let's see.
Is this like amount of time that it's taking what you would expect, or do you think it means it's something else?
It's a little slow, but I guess I'm not sure how complicated the GeoJSON file is.
Yeah.
It looked like it was maybe pushing the limits of what Collab could handle because it had that error loading in.
Yeah. Also, like, I don't know how detailed the boundaries are, because when you just look at the first feature, like that is so many coordinates. Like I feel like maybe it's just really detailed and meant to like be able to zoom in, which isn't exactly what we need, but I don't really know how to like decrease that size.
Maybe there's like a lower res version of these GeoJSON files, but Did you get it from this like GeoHacker repository? I just did a.
That doesn't ring a
look at it.
bell. I just kind of found it in somebody's like research, and then I downloaded it and made sure it like existed and worked. So
Got
I'm
it.
not sure. Yeah.
Interesting.
But if it seems like maybe the size of the GeoJSON is the problem, I can look for a smaller one, because maybe hopefully the issue was the index reference thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Another, oh, actually, oh, that's right. It's a dictionary. Yeah, everything else looks reasonable to me.
Okay. So it might just be overwhelmed by the file, and I can try and find a new one, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, the one I pasted in I don't know if it's smaller, but it looked it doesn't look crazy big.
Okay, in the chat. Yeah, I'll grab that.
And it looks somewhat low res.
Yeah. I just worry because when you zoom in, it just like continues to become more and more defined. I mean, I just think most files are probably going to be really defined like that. And for our purposes, like for just doing like the Chloropath map of, income and stuff, like super low detail is fine. So I might just Google like low res or something.
Yeah, the other thing you could potentially do is, so you could use, like instead of computing like a full choropleth map, you could, like if that's tricky, you could compute the average latitude and longitude for each state and then put like a bubble, so you could do is it called like a bubble map or scatter map or something? Or scatter geo. And that'll just put like a circle centered on each state.
Okay.
And then you could like change the sizes of the circles to reflect the like incomes or whatever you want to represent. And then another library that I've had good luck with is Folium, which is also built into Google Collaboratory.
Okay.
And in the school enrollment data set that we were playing around with last week, there's an example of a map. Let's see if it uses, it uses scatter geo. But I was also playing around with Folium and it looked nice.
Yeah, so it just finished running and it did the same thing it was doing for me where it like says it's done, but there's just nothing there.
So let's see what fig is. If it's just none, then that would be annoying. It doesn't look like it's none, but
yeah.
Okay, well, something strange is happening. The most likely culprits are usually like setting feature ID key and locations to like in the wrong way, or so that's probably what's causing it not to display.
Okay.
So maybe it would be worth trying like adding another column and seeing if that works. And then, you just want to make sure like character for character, the locations exactly match the feature ID keys. So like, if there's like lower casing or punctuation or whatever,
Okay.
they have to be exactly the same.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try that. And I might just honestly make a column and see if I can get it to work with that since we're on.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Okay, so we're about out of time for today. How do you all feel about, so, we can either put our stories together for, for Friday, so, before class on Friday, or we could do another debugging on Friday and then, do our stories for Monday. Where's everyone at? Like, which would you prefer?
For me personally, I am wondering if we could have like not like a full rough draft, but like have like a plot and like a little part of the story, almost like a more in-depth workshop on Friday, and then for Monday have like our main thing due. That way we can get like a little more feedback after we all have a little bit more fleshed out.
Okay, yeah,
Well,
yeah. Does that sound good to everyone, or? Yeah, okay, yeah, so let's do that. So on Friday we'll do, yeah, so I'll, leave the time open again, and then we can, workshop your figures, workshop your ideas. Sounds great. All right.
I also don't know about my other group members, but I'm still kind of figuring out the GitHub thing. So there's a chance that I will need to like ask some questions about that on Friday.
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah, I meant to leave time this class to make sure you could all do pull requests, but we should make sure on Friday that at least one person from each group can actually submit your story and assignment. Cool. All right. See you all on Friday, everyone.